What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Sean Spencer.
I am Anthony Handy, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of Let's Talk College Football.
Yes,
How you
sir.
feeling, my man?
Doing well, doing well. How you been, man?
I've been good, man. I've been staying busy. I've been trying to keep busy. I've been on this thing. I've been on this thing all week. I've been excited to get in here and talk with you, my guy, about this stuff that's been going on. I've
Oh
been
yeah.
enjoying watching all the content you've been putting out this week. You and Janae were killing me on Monday, and then you were killing me on the roundtable on Tuesday,
Oh yeah.
and then your boy Ab. Actually, I had something to say. Ab, if you watching this, my guy, I gotta have more from your rants, guy. I gotta have more from your rants. That's all I'm gonna say because we got a lot to talk about today. So we gonna keep that brief. But we here, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Fingers and the shout out king, Sean Spencer,
Yes,
here
sir.
with this week's episode of Let's Talk Football. So let's get to it. Week 5, very eventful. We're not gonna get too deep into that, but what we are gonna talk about, y'all see my hat, you know how I roll.
There it is.
We're definitely gonna talk about Georgia versus Arkansas.
Yeah.
Arkansas came in ranked at number 8. They were looking impressive to everybody, bro. Like everybody's like, oh wow, is this the new and improved? Arkansas, turn the jukebox on. Let's
But
get
what
this
happened?
thing done. But what wound up happening was Georgia took the opening kickoff and proceeded to march down the field, and we saw a face score a touchdown. He's a beast, but he doesn't get a lot of love because we got a running back by committee there, that being one Zamir Zeus White. And from that point on, the slaughter was on.
Mm-hmm.
The game 37-0, the final score.
Oof.
Seriously, it was a lot worse than the score indicated, y'all. I want you to think about this. Georgia only had 72 yards of passing that whole game, man.
Wow.
72 yards of passing the entire game. But you know what the difference in the game was this week? Ask me how many yards they had rushing.
How many yards they rushing?
272 yards. And
There it
no
is.
running back had over 100 yards. James Cook had 6 carries for 87 yards. 6 carries for 87 yards and averaging 7.2 yards per carry. I mean, they were shredding the defense up. The chains were moving. Zeus, he only had 68 yards, but he had
Oh, wow.
2 touchdowns rushing on offense,
Okay.
and then he recovered a block punt for
Nice.
another touchdown. Kendall Milton, like I said, we only had 72 yards passing, but Kendall Milton ran for 48 yards, and he scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
The defense came up big. They had 3 sacks. They held Arkansas to 87 yards passing. We talk about KJ Jefferson, and that boy is a beast. I watched him play. Who was that they played the week before? I forget who it was they played the week before.
Who?
And
Arkansas?
yeah, before
Texas,
they played
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. And that boy hurt his leg, and he was mad he couldn't get in the game. The boy is a competitor. He wants to be in the game every play that he can be out there. And they held him to 87 yards passing. Prior to that, he was throwing for 2. He was averaging 203.5 a game. Okay. He was held to 66 yards. The coach just tapped him and said, come on, sit down. And put in his replacement. Now, Arkansas's longest drive the entire game was 60 yards, and that was in the fourth quarter when Kirby Smart had pulled all of his backups, and that's normally what he does. I pulled all of his starters. He likes to pull the starters because no sense getting your guys hurt when you up by 7 touchdowns.
Right.
And they're not going to catch you. So, prior to that, their longest drive was 55 yards. And then their kicker, Cam Little, missed the field goal attempt, and that was in the first quarter. My takeaways from this game this week, this is probably the most complete. I've been saying it so far all season. This is probably the most complete Georgia football squad I've seen in my time on this earth since I've been following the team, and that includes the 1980 squad. Although those boys are bad. Those boys are bad, but these guys are ridiculous. I mean, they've had, I think they still only have like 1 offensive touchdown scored against them so far this season.
Really?
The defense is ranked number 1 in the nation. Not surprisingly, Auburn is ranked number 2. You're gonna be surprised when you find out who number 3 is. I'm gonna get into that later. But basically, it's okay. Our starting quarterback's out. Stetson Bennett might be a little bit iffy behind the center, but he can manage the game. So if we can't beat you passing, we're gonna beat you putting the ball on the ground,
Oh
and then
yeah.
we'll let the defense worry about the rest. So that leads me into I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this one now, and then we have the SEC games of the week. Um, Georgia, number 2 ranked in the nation, taking on Auburn, 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Okay, you want to check that one out. Starter JT Daniels, he's still out. He had, if you remember, he had some kind of injury to his lat
Mm-hmm.
and his throwing arm. They said that he's in
How long
practice.
is JT Daniels will be out?
They said that he probably would be good to come back, if not next week, the week after. He's able to practice, he's able to throw, but they don't really have him going 100%. They've
Mm-hmm.
just got him doing soft throws right now. Um, that doesn't mean that we're taking Auburn lightly, but Stetson Bennett has proven himself to be far more than capable. Biggest thing is that Stetson Bennett is not as bad as my other Georgia quarterback that we like to talk about, the professional one, that guy.
Oh
But
yeah.
he has been known to throw a pick every now and again. So that's something we have to hold our breath for, because Auburn, even though they're not the Auburn we're used to, they're not the Auburn of the Cam Newton years. They're not the Auburn that used to go toe to toe with Bama in the 90s and the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
They can still get by you.
Yeah.
All they need is an inch, and they'll slide their way through the door. So he's going to be out for a while. Wide receiver Dominic Blaylock is still questionable. If you remember, he last played 2 seasons ago. He tore an ACL. He missed all of last season. He was averaging 17.5 yards per catch.
Hmm.
Um, and I forgot how many yards he had that season, but he is questionable. But they're saying that they're trying to hold him and possibly bring him back for Georgia, Florida. More details on that. Right now, Georgia has 1,180 yards receiving,
Mm-hmm.
and the favorite receiver, believe it or not, is not a wide receiver. Our number
Hmm.
one wide receiver, George Pickens. They said 3 weeks ago that it would be somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So if he doesn't suit up on Saturday, he will probably be suiting up next week.
Okay.
But he's not the favorite target. The favorite target is a tight end.
What?
Yes, sir. Tight end Brock Bowers, 18 receptions, 272 yards, and 4 TDs
What?
so far this season. Your
Wow.
boy is balling out. And
Nice.
he has become a fan favorite. Every time they're at Sanford Stadium and he puts his hands on the ball, they haven't come up with something. You know how when Amari Cooper catch a touchdown, they go Coop, or like
Right.
when Chris Cooley would make a tackle and they go Cooley. They don't have anything for him yet, but they got
Yeah.
something, because
But
they
soon.
that boy gets his hands on the ball and those fans lose their mind. So
Yeah.
keep your eyes on Brock Bowers, ladies and gentlemen, starting tight end, University of Georgia. Go Dogs.
Go go.
The Georgia defense is ranked number 1. Right now, Auburn is currently ranked number 23. Or
Mm.
actually, that was when I wrote these notes. If I remember correctly, as of 15 minutes ago, I think they jumped up to like 16 or 17 after their win
I
over
believe so.
LSU. After their win over LSU,
Yeah.
there's a little family connection in this game too, man.
Oh wow.
You
What
want
do
to
you,
take a stab at what it is?
no, who what family connection is in this?
Well, if you remember the 2017 University of Georgia football squad,
Yeah.
they were led by a quarterback, a local prospect that they managed to bring in, who beat out Jake Eason for the job by the name of Jake Fromm.
Yeah.
Jake Fromm went on to be drafted by the Bills. He unfortunately wound up riding the pine. He got cut. I think he's on the practice squad right now.
Yeah.
And God, the internet, the Georgia haters are having a field day with that. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. Justin Daniels looked good playing on Saturday. Wonder how
Right.
many yards Jake Fromm had. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. But
Wow.
yeah, they're going in hard on
Adam.
my boy. Hey, y'all leave Jake alone. Some of y'all just mad because Jake Fromm beat y'all in the
Tell the truth.
in the SEC championship
Tell
game.
the truth.
I won't say who it is, but we're playing them on Saturday. Now I'm not going to talk too much smack, because that what goes around comes around.
Hey, very
But
true.
the family connection is Jake Fromm's little brother Tyler is playing tight end at Auburn, and right now he's not getting a lot of playing time. But so far in the year, he's got 3 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, a little family connect there. So now He's down there. Jake will probably be at the game if he doesn't have to be with the team. So that's Georgia versus Auburn, ladies and gentlemen. Again, that is at 3:30 Eastern on CBS. I definitely plan to be in front of the TV screaming my head off. Moving on.
Hmm.
SEC games this week. All right. So we're going to start with the before mentioned Arkansas. They were ranked number 8. They tumbled 5 spots to number 13 versus number 17, Ole Miss. Now, what do Ole Miss and Auburn have? Ole Miss and Arkansas have in common?
In the South.
You stupid. But in the South. Come on, man. They both played the number 1 and the number 2 teams in the nation last week, and both came up a little bit short.
Very true.
Yeah, Arkansas to Georgia and Ole Miss to Alabama. I meant to send you that clip, man, because I wanted you to play that clip. Did you get it?
I thought you sent it to me. Do you have it? You can share it with me.
How can I share it? Oh, I do have the share right here.
Yeah. You've done that before.
Have I?
Yeah. You shared you had your picture of when you were in a Falcons uniform.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. So let's see if we can find that, ladies and gentlemen. But for those of you that did not have an opportunity to see the game, they went out on do I have it? Do I really have it? I may not have it. I thought I sent it to you, but it doesn't look like. Oh, man. You know what? I'm not going to take up too much time on that because we got a lot to cover. But basically what happened is they went out to interview Coach Lane Kiffin before the game. And they said that the reporter asked him that, there was something written on the page of this paper that you found. What was written on the paper? And he said, well, I hope there's still room left on the paper that we don't run out of room to write this new chapter. Then he says, get your popcorn ready. And just does this mic drop with his headphones and just throws them and runs off. And they were like, even the announcer was like, whoa, like, what was that? Like, he just had did he just do a mic drop in a reference to popcorn?
Right.
And what happened? They went out there and well, as you know, they came up a little short. I will give him his props though. He takes everything with a grain of salt. He's got a great sense of humor. He put out a tweet on Twitter today with a picture of him surrounded by buckets of popcorn and said the first 500 some odd fans that show up at the game will get a voucher for a free thing of popcorn. And he's just chilling and cheesing with a big thing of popcorn. So he's got a good sense of humor. But so let's see. Where are they? So not either team could do much. I mean, you're playing the number 1 and the number 2 or number 3 defense in the country. Respectively. There's not a whole heck of a lot they could do, so we can't fault them for that. It'll still be interesting. Normally what happens is when you get really highly touted and you go into a game against a juggernaut and everybody's hyping you up. It's like when you were growing up in school and the bully was picking on you and you knew the strongest guy in school you were supposed to fight this guy and all your boys is hyping you up and folks like, oh, snap, Handy might get him. And then you go in and you get beat up. You sometimes you don't wind up the same. So it'll be interesting to see.
They are who we thought they were.
Right. It will be interesting to see this Saturday who steps up to the challenge. Because like I said, KJ Jefferson is a beast quarterback. And Matt Corral, if you remember, Matt Corral was ranked very highly amongst this year's quarterback class and was a preseason Heisman hopeful.
Very true.
And actually they're saying that his Heisman hopes still have not been hurt that badly by the loss this week because they played against Alabama. So, you know what I'm saying? It would be different if they went out and they lost to, Johnson City, Tennessee Junior College. Then that would be different. But
Buck Tussle, what was it? What thing you said last time?
Bug Tussle, Mr. Bug Tussle State University. They rode in on a school bus. They don't even have their own equipment. They had to borrow it from the local high school. Several local high schools.
Right.
So they all play 7-man ball, so they don't have enough equipment. Don't get me started. We said we're going to keep the ad libs to a minimum this week. But it'll be interesting to see which one of them bounces back. Who bounces back and who goes into a tailspin, we don't know, but we'll see starting this Saturday. That kickoff, ladies and gentlemen, is at noon Eastern, and they are playing in Oxford. That is Arkansas versus Ole Miss. Next game, Vanderbilt versus Florida.
Mm.
Okay. We know who Vanderbilt is.
Yeah.
I will tell you this.
Didn't y'all lay
Vanderbilt,
62 on them?
huh?
Didn't y'all put 62 on them?
We did. We did indeed. But Vanderbilt is kind of sneaky. Vanderbilt is that team that will have one game a year where they will take a team that's supposed to mop the floor with them, and they'll actually run them to the wire. And Florida is coming off a loss last week that basically, Florida's got 2 losses now. They're 3-2. And we all know that in the SEC and in Division One, in the Power Five, 2 losses basically eliminate you from playoff contention unless you're Alabama in 2017. But we ain't bitter about that at all. Not at all.
At all.
Look at my face. I'm still mad at you too, Attackable.
Very mad.
But yeah, 2 losses basically eliminate you from playoff contention. And with Kentucky being undefeated and Georgia being undefeated, neither one of those teams are looking to. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that? Kentucky is tied for first place in the SEC East with UGA with 5 wins.
I saw that game last week.
We'll get into that in a minute. That's who Florida lost to last week.
Yeah.
So either they're going to, one or two things is going to happen. Florida is either going to come out with a huge chip on their shoulder, or they're going to be chasing ghosts from last week. That's generally what happens to Florida when they lose again. The last 4 or 5 years since Dan Mullen has been the coach, they either rebound big time from a loss, or they come out like they're chasing ghosts, like they can't get out of their own way. I want to know which Florida team shows up.
That's going to be key.
Yeah, but those 2 losses have basically eliminated them from playoff contention. So at this point, they're driving the bus en route to their own destiny. They basically had to win out. At this point, they had to win out and then hope to, since Kentucky's already beat them, they either have to hope that we lose to, and that one of those 2 losses is to them in order just to get to the SEC championship. Now, they can still win out and get a bowl game because SEC teams draw ratings. So, but at this point, they're kind of out of playoff contention. I've said that about 80 different times. 20-13 to Bob Stoops. Okay. Big Blue Nation is not known for football. Big Blue Nation is known for basketball. But they've been, they've been
Rocky Top.
They've been pretty scrappy the last several years. I mean, they've been able to log at least anywhere between 7 to 9 wins a season. I believe.
Who are we talking about? We talking about Kansas?
Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky. Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about Kansas for a second. I was like, nope.
No. Now, if I had said K-State, that would be different. K-State's got a decent ball team, but they're over in the Big 12, and we ain't gonna talk about that.
No, I'm talking about the Jayhawks.
Oh,
I'm talking about I was like, no.
You was like, Anthony, did you bump your head? Do you feel okay? No, Kentucky's been posting at least 8-win seasons for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Right.
I don't know what happened to their quarterback that they had, Terry Wilson. I don't know if he declared for the draft or not, but after he hurt his leg 2 seasons ago, he wasn't quite the same. I think he wound up getting benched last year. I don't even know if he's still playing ball, but they lost 20-13. The Wildcats pretty much basically assured that they have knocked Florida out of contention for the championship. They're still undefeated at 5-0, and like I said, they're tied with Georgia. So it's going to be interesting to see if Kentucky wins this game.
Right.
2 days from now, I'm thinking today's Friday. If they win that game 2 days from now, and they wind up going 6-0, and Georgia wins and goes 6-0, does the talk start to shift from who can beat Bama, or does it shift to the Georgia-Kentucky showdown? You know what I mean? Because you know how the media will jump on the media.
Right. They're going to paint their narrative.
Yeah, they're definitely going to paint the narrative because they definitely painted some coffins for Arkansas last week.
quick. After they painted them up, they were like, "Oh, Arkansas, here we come, the great mighty David," and they.
Yeah, that did not go well for them. They came in, the jukebox turned on and got carried out by the African dancing guys with the coffin. That just did not go well for them.
Bye-bye.
Look, they were sitting on the sideline. After Zeus scored the first touchdown When the wide receiver looked up and there was a dude standing next to him in a tuxedo, he just tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Come with me. Follow me. I know the way." Next up.
You mess up his Uber.
We don't do that here. All right, moving on. South Carolina versus Tennessee. It's at noon on ESPN2. Both of these teams have had very disappointing seasons. South Carolina was looking forward to rebuilding after the firing of Coach Muschamp, who, by the way, has been a key cog, to go back to Georgia. He's been a key cog in that team's turnaround this year because he is their defensive coordinator. And, man, I did not know that dude had those kind of defensive chops.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Kirby, if you're watching this, give that man a contract and keep him around. Because give him renew his contract at the end of the season and give him a long one and a nice raise. Okay? Because we like what he's doing. We didn't like him at South Carolina, but now that he's red and black, he all right with us. Just saying. Oh, yeah. Both teams are 3-2. And Tennessee, we know how Tennessee goes. The narrative ever since Peyton left is this is our year. This is our year. This is our year. Is that guy still the assistant behind Nick Saban, their old coach? Their old coach from Tennessee?
I thought so. Unless he's one of the other ones that left. I thought
he was the head coach at Tennessee, and I cannot remember his name. If there's anybody out there right now that's watching this that can throw that in the comments and let us know.
Write that in the comments if you know the name, guys.
If you know his name, I know Nate will probably throw it up there real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And he wound up taking the job as an assistant at Alabama. But the funny part is it's just kind of a title job because I don't really see him doing a whole bunch. Like, he's just short of being Nick Saban's get back guy. You know, the guy that grabbed him.
Yeah. back up.
Wait a minute. Did you know that the get back guy makes 6 figures a year?
Wow. I'll do that for 6 figures.
All he does is follow coach around and seriously. As a grown man, you get paid 6 figures a year to grab another grown man by his belt loop, by his butt crack, to keep him from stepping across the line and getting your team a penalty.
Yep.
Get me some money.
Yeah.
Look, the get back guy and the people that sweep the floor of the NBA both making 6 figures a year, and I got a 9 to 5. What am I doing with my life?
I'm telling you.
Oh, by the way, if you're watching this right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk Football. That's my man, Sean Spencer, the Shout Out King. I am Anthony Handy, and we are coming to you live. Right now, we're talking the week in SEC football. We'll keep this thing going. We're talking about South Carolina versus Tennessee. They're both 3-2 right now. And, South Carolina is what South Carolina is. They always were kind of, except for when Spurrier went down there and did what he did, and then Muschamp kind of inherited a little something there, and he held it tight for a minute until basically he held it together until Spurrier's recruits were all gone. Yeah. And then they were like, yeah, okay, you are who we thought you were. And they let him go. But Tennessee is I'm giving the edge to South Carolina in this one. Because Tennessee has some good talent. Yeah. But Tennessee is prone to drop the ball, pun completely intended, drop the ball at the big times, and they don't really have much of a home field advantage. Right now, they have a 3-5 home record dating back to last season. And that's one of the largest, you can't find fans any bigger or any crazier than in the Southeastern Conference, and even more crazy in Tennessee. Maybe it might be that orange. Maybe Sandra Bullock was onto something. I can't wear that gaudy orange. It is not in my color wheel, and I will not wear it. So
she knew.
I'm giving it. Think about it. They had a 5-star offensive tackle in Wanye Morris, and he transferred. He jumped in the transfer portal. He's now playing for the Sooners. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that game at noon on ESPN2, South Carolina at Tennessee. Next up, we're talking North Texas makes its way to play Missouri. That game's at 4 p.m. on the SEC network. If you want to see a football game, watch that one. in the literal sense because there's not much else going on there. I don't know what else to say. I'm not even trying to be mean, but there's not much else to say. If you just want to have some you want to have some background noise on while you cleaning the house up in the afternoon to have yourself some wings, you got something on the smoker, you can put that on. But you're not gonna, unless you're a diehard fan, you're not gonna see a whole heck of a lot.
No.
Missouri was scrappy. I remember this was during the Jake Fromm years this was just a few years ago. The Jake Fromm years at University of Georgia, Drew Lock used to give us the business. Now, granted, we beat them, but he would give us the business. Like a lot of the players say that was one of the toughest opponents that they faced. Not bad, because Bama, you expect to get beat. You expect to go head to head with Bama. You expect Georgia, Florida, the guys to knock heads.
Oh, yeah.
Missouri's not, Auburn. That's another one that we expect to knock heads with. You don't expect to go to Missouri and have a team like that just go toe to toe with you. I would watch every one of those games on Puck Effect of 52 because Drew Lock was he wasn't a monster, but he was
good in college.
He's a soldier. That dude was a soldier.
He was good in college.
He was like determined. He was like the T-1000 when Arnold Schwarzenegger shot his leg off and he just kept coming. It didn't matter how many times he got sacked or whatever. He would get up and be back out there the next play.
Yep.
But since he's left, they've been 7-8. They even posted a couple of wins the season. I mean, they didn't win by much. Like it was like maybe 6-4 or maybe a 7-3. But they have been 7-8 since Drew Lock left. So yeah, if you want some noise on, you just want to hear some football noise and maybe watch a couple of Dr. Pepper Fanville commercials, you can turn that one on. It'll be at 4 o'clock on the SEC network.
Yep.
Like I said, I'll say it again. North Texas at Missouri. Moving on. All right. Here's one right here that I want to talk about.
Okay.
LSU versus number 16 Kentucky on the SEC network immediately following the background noise game I just discussed.
Oh, wow.
LSU, man, I don't know what happened to LSU. Well, actually, I can tell you what happened to LSU. I'm going to be honest. I've since we've been doing this, I've been following a lot of podcasts and a lot of YouTube shows, guys that do their college commentary. There's a guy I want you to check out. His name is no, actually, you kind of follow West Virginia. There's a guy you need to follow. He's called Blue and Gold Guy. He does West Virginia commentary. He talks about that conference. There's a guy I follow. His name's Uncle Lou. He does UGA commentary. Somebody Blue and Gold Guy did a bit where he said, "Is it time to fire Ed Orgeron?" And there seems to be the general consensus that if Coach O doesn't post at least 9 wins this year, then it may be time for Coach O to go.
Yeah.
Now, here's why I disagree with that. I'm gonna say this. What generally happens after you come in as a assistant coach and then you work your way up the chain, and maybe you're like the head defensive coordinator or the head offensive coordinator, and then your team, you've been there for a few years, and then your team happens to win a national championship.
Right.
The same thing that happens with your seniors. They bolt for other jobs. Somebody wants to come and stroke them a big, you're making 6 figures. Ed's making $6 million a year. You're making 400,000, which still is nothing to spit at, but somebody's willing to give you
more,
maybe 1.5 or 2.2.
Absolutely right.
Like so he lost a goodly amount of his coaching staff, and he lost almost all of his seniors, and so he's basically rebuilding that squad. And I actually thought that they had honestly, let's be real. They didn't lose that game by a heck of a lot. They were on their way to scoring the winning touchdown when the interception was thrown in the fourth quarter that allowed Auburn to basically run the clock out. So they're not bad. They're 3-2. It's just that you know how fan bases get. You win 1 championship and the fan base wants more.
Right.
You win 1, they want 2. You win 2, they want 5. You win 5, they want 10.
Right.
That's why they loved Bear Bryant. That's why they loved Coach Shula at Alabama. That's why they love Nick Saban. That's why Patriots fans love Bill Belichick. Hell, that's why Georgia fans love Vince Dooley. They won the national championship in 80, had a run and ran it back in 81 and only fell short by like maybe 3-4 points. So, But that's what's going on in LSU. They've just been kind of struggling to find their identity. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That national championship definitely. It was a good thing and it was a bad thing. It put because it was a good thing because they won the championship. It was a bad thing though because as a college football program, once you win a championship, now all eyes are on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You
I
got a
mean,
target on your back.
I knew who LSU was. I remember when they won the national championship when Saban was there. But then
Mm-hmm.
not long after that, he left, and people were like, we'll see what happens. But they would, they weren't expecting as much once he left because the new coach came in. But then Coach O came in and he wins his championship. Now all eyes are on him, and you're only 2 seasons removed. So they're expecting some things out of him. But he's not really able to make it happen the last couple of years. Right now, like I said, they're 3-2,
Mm.
and they lost at home to Auburn. The last time Auburn beat LSU in Death Valley was 8,005 days ago on September 18th, 1999.
Right.
It's been 23 years since LSU lost the Tiger Bowl playing in Death Valley.
Yep.
So the fans are upset about that.
Yeah.
But
They got used to victory.
yeah,
You
they
have
have.
the 3 national championships since 2000. I mean,
Yeah, and that's impressive. Now, I will say this: LSU has roughly, let's see, they got just over 1,800 yards in total offense, 1,500 passing, just over 1,500 and 353 rushing, and they rank 83rd in the nation. So they're not an exceptionally powerful offense,
yeah.
but that's not what's killing them. And here's the thing: Kentucky's coming hot off that win over Florida.
Yep.
They got momentum behind them. They're playing at home in front of Big Blue Nation. You know they're going to be completely hyped. Now Kentucky, their offense is not that much farther ahead of they're not that much farther ahead. But here's the determining factor: they have almost 1,000 yards worth of rushing offense so far this season in 5 games. They're,
Oh
they're
wow.
close to averaging 200 yards per game, and
Yeah.
their leading running back is Chris Rodriguez. He's got 612 of those 990 some odd yards. I
Jeez.
haven't seen him play yet. That boy must be an absolute beast.
Yeah.
So, and then Kentucky's defense is ranked. Oh, I'm sorry, not number 3. Kentucky's defense is ranked number 4 in the nation.
Wow.
Now, for reference, LSU is 10th, but for reference, and this is not to knock, this is just an example. Okay. Kentucky has played so far Louisiana Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
Missouri, who we already discussed,
Mm-hmm.
UT Chattanooga,
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, and Florida. Of
Mm.
those 5 opponents, the only one that really stands out and jumps off the page is Florida. And like we said, they could have beaten Florida were it not for that interception. Now, on the other side of that coin, LSU has faced UCLA, McNeese State, Central Michigan, Mississippi State, and Auburn, and they posted losses against UCLA in the opener and Auburn last week.
Right.
Now, of those 2 teams, Auburn definitely had a little bit more of an uphill climb because UCLA might not be, they might not be top tier, but they're no slouch out there in the Pac-12. I don't.
Oh, UCLA is surprising people this year. I think they're gonna surprise people.
And Auburn, we know what Auburn can do. So they took Auburn down to the wire. It took an interception from Auburn to shut them down.
Right.
So I would give the edge to Auburn just because they've had the tougher climb. I'm sorry, not Auburn. What am I talking about? Auburn's not in this game. I'd give the edge to LSU. I'm stuck on Auburn. I can't get them off my brain because we play them Saturday. I'd give the edge to LSU in this game just because I think they're going to come back with a chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
And Kentucky is another one of those teams that has a tendency to get a little too far ahead of itself.
Yeah, I think you're overlooking them.
Not that they're not good this year, because to run 5 games and not lose. Granted, they got a 12-game season.
Mm-hmm. But when a team like this that's not used to winning, not used to being a dominant team is dominant, they start to smell themselves a little bit sometimes. Or they overlook an LSU team that we know is down, and everybody's hyping up Kentucky. I think I agree with you. I think this is almost like a trap game.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a trap game. And that's You got to be careful for that because that can definitely get you in a lot of trouble. So
Yep.
I'm giving the edge to LSU. I think that Kentucky's thinking that it's their year and LSU's on the way down, and they could probably um, they'll probably and they're playing at home. They'll have the fans behind them.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Kentucky fans, this is not a knock. If
No.
any of you have an inroads, I know coaches are preaching it to them all week. But if you see any of the guys, if you're a student and you see the guys on campus, if you're a professor and you see the guys on campus, just tell them to stay focused. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
1 week at a time. That's one of the things that the big debates right now in the University of Georgia sports groups is would you rather be ranked? Would you rather, I'd rather be ranked number one. To tell you the complete truth, I don't care if we're ranked number one and we're ranked number 18.
Right.
Go do what you got to do and get in the
Exactly.
playoffs and win the trophy. And then I'm happy. I'd rather finish the
Exactly.
entire season at number. I don't care. I don't give a damn where we're ranked. As long as we can get to the championship and win it,
Give me the
that's
damn.
all I care about.
Right.
I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Do I have my concerns as a fan? Sure. I'm not on the payroll on the athletic staff. So I'm just
Exactly.
going to sit back and watch the game and hope they do well. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So Kentucky fans, y'all, you keep your boys in check, okay? There's big head. What's it? Listen, your quote is
Yeah.
What's your quote? What is the quote? The race
Oh yeah.
is not given to the swift, nor the fight to the strong, but to he that endureth to the end.
Pastor Handy in the building.
Blessed is the man that endureth, for when he is crowned, he shall achieve a crown of life that God has promised to
God,
everyone that believes in him.
as God has, right?
As we look to the ushers to be dismissed, we pass the collection plates. Anyway, and to the sister in the congregation that I saw you on television signing the lottery check that you won the Powerball, the deacons have instituted a security detail at the back of the
For
church.
you, right?
They will be escorting you to the trustee's office so that you can pay your tithes. Thank you.
Right.
Contribution to the building fund is due. I know we've had a building fund for 25 years, haven't put a doorknob on the church, but we claiming it in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. All right. We done with that. On to the final SEC game of the week. Bama versus Texas A&M.
Yep.
Okay. You and I have discussed a gajillion times what Bama is capable of. We know they're the number one team in the country. We know they've got arguably one of the best college coaches in college football history at the helm. We know they've got Bryce Young. You and I talked about Brian Robinson, or actually, I think I talked about him on the short last week. Yeah. Brian Robinson, I forgot how many yards did that boy run for? He ran for like over 200 some odd yards and scored 6 touchdowns. He had like almost 40 carries. He said in the post-game interview, I've never carried the ball 30 times when I was in high school. He almost touched the ball 36 times, ran for 200 some odd, 300 some odd yards and 6 touchdowns.
Really?
That is a lethal, that is a lethal. Was it 6 or 4? Like I said, that's why I recorded. But I'm still learning all the names of the new players because most of their players last year left in the draft. So I know Michi is still there, and that's about it. I'm like, I don't know him. I don't know him. But we know what Bama is capable of. So it's not a whole lot that can be said about that already. The Aggies actually they're kind of in a little funk this year. They actually finished second in the SEC West last year. They finished 9-1 behind Alabama. And
they still have is their starter still injured?
You know what? I didn't even check the injury report.
Because they've been dealing with the backup for a while. He's doing decent, but I mean Colorado almost beat them because of their backup.
Yep. Yeah. So, right now they've struggled to get to 3-2, and I'm sorry I didn't check that. That's a mental note. Start checking the injury reports for other teams other than Georgia. So
Georgia insider.
Right. It's Georgia and no one else.
Yes.
They finished 9-1 last year, so they had a really good year, but they struggled to get to 3-2. They lost to number 13 Arkansas and an unranked Mississippi State. That's hard to follow, to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
Arkansas, because during the Dak Prescott years, they weren't lethal, but nobody overlooked them. Not even Nick Saban. You know what I mean? Because Dak was Dak was Dak. I know,
Dak
you know,
was
I
Dak.
know
That's
you
right.
might not necessarily be the biggest fan of Dak because of his professional affiliations, but
And I like him as a person.
props for
I'll be honest about it.
that sound like the kind of thing you say about somebody got a crush on you in middle school. Do you like me? I like you as a friend.
Right? He's a good person. Has
Yeah, but I
qualities about him.
wait a minute. But I missed that game though. But yeah, so they lost to unranked Mississippi State, and the last time that Texas A&M beat Bama, their coach was Kevin Sumlin, and their quarterback was some punk named Johnny Manziel.
Giant football, yes sir.
Johnny Football. That was back in 2012. So not a whole lot that I can say about this game. I'm expecting Alabama, if A&M still has the backup quarterback, I'm expecting Alabama to take full advantage.
Of course.
I think they probably win this one pulling away. I think coach is probably going to pull Bryce in the third quarter, Bryce and the boys in the third quarter after, they score. They're going to come in and score, and then he'll pull them and sit them. So that's what I foresee happening there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Bama versus Texas A&M. That game is at 8 p.m. That's the late game. That is on CBS. That's all the SEC games this week. I want to throw one out there real quick because I don't think – actually, I may have time to get to both of these, but I want to throw one out there real quick. Non-SEC game, but locally affiliated since I'm out here in the Sooner State. Huge Big 12 rivalry game this coming Saturday, noon kickoff on ABC. Red River Rivalry.
Yes,
The number 6 Oklahoma Sooners are taking on the number 21 Texas Longhorns. I'm still wondering when they're going to be back. Sam Ellinger said they were going to be back like 3 years ago. Are they back yet?
Not back yet. No.
Okay. Well, they're number 21 this year, so there's not, and they've only lost in one game. But moving forward, OU's had their share of struggles this year. They really have had a problem with their finding their identity on offense. The defense is kind of hit or miss. Spencer Rattler, a lot of people disappointed he didn't live up to the hype. Yeah. But it's the same people that are disappointed that he didn't live up to the hype are the same people that hyped him up before he got on campus.
Very true.
Like you said, with the media spreading the narrative. Like, I thought this kid was going to come in here and break every single one of Baker Mayfield's records the way they were talking about him. And we really have yet to see that from him.
And they're not helping him with the play calling because they have completely abandoned the running game, and
they got a beast. And Brooks Kennedy is a beast,
right?
I haven't seen a lot of their games on TV. But, on Saturdays when I'm out and about in the car, I'm listening to the game on the radio. Brooks Kennedy is an absolute beast.
He really is.
I'm going to say this. When Chuba Hubbard was here, that was the big debate. When he was here at Oklahoma State, that was the big debate. Who's the better back, Hubbard or Kennedy Brooks? And the thing with Kennedy Brooks was Kennedy Brooks was very quiet. Like, he quietly did what he did. But then you go back and you look at the stat line, you're like, yo, for real? I mean, and he's played with Kyler and he played with Jalen.
Yeah.
And beast. Like at the passing game, if they had the passing game on lock, give the ball to Kennedy Brooks and let him rip off 10, 15 yards. The kid's more than capable of making things happen.
It's consistent too.
Yeah, but Rattler is kind of like he'll throw five. Like he threw 5 touchdowns in that 76-0 game against Western Carolina, right? and people were like, yo, okay, that's Spencer Rattler, QB1. That's the one. That's what we've been waiting on. Let's make this happen. But then people forget the week before, Tulane almost got him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they struggled against Nebraska, for crying out loud. Like, it took that circus interception catch for them to beat Nebraska, basically to put the nail in the coffin. He has thrown 4 interceptions this season. 5 games, 4 interceptions. 2 of them were against Tulane. I'm not trying to get excited. And then he threw 1 against West Virginia, and then he has his problems like big games. That's a big thing. He's a liability in a big game like West Virginia. That was a big game. That was a crucial game. That was a game that they were like, look, they really got to go out here and wallop West Virginia, and they did. They were like, look, they really got to. I picked after the way they beat West Carolina. I think some pick'em thing on some app on Fox where you get to pick the winners or whatever. The same app where you get to win Terry Bradshaw's money. That one.
I got you. Okay.
Um, I picked Oklahoma to win by like 35 points, and they barely squeaked by Nebraska.
Wow.
You know, and the worst of it is they've got no depth at quarterback.
Right.
No. I'm being serious when I say they have no depth at quarterback.
Right.
Zero. I talked about before how Spencer Rattler is the first homegrown quarterback that has been groomed his entire career by Lincoln Riley because Jalen was a transfer, Kyler was a transfer, Baker was a transfer. Check this out. I didn't know this. They got 6 quarterbacks on their roster and 2 seniors. Yeah, 6.
Oh, wow.
They got 6 quarterbacks on their roster. 2 of them are freshmen. 2 of them are seniors.
What?
And then you've got Spencer, who's a sophomore, and then there's another guy that's a junior. So they seriously, they've got 6 guys at quarterback. And what is that? And the 2 seniors, neither one of them has played a snap since 2017. That was the last time they played.
Right.
The 2 freshmen, one of them got some playing time. I think a couple of got some playing time in the Western Carolina game. No, 7. I'm sorry. And neither senior has seen a snap since 2017. They got 0 depth. So what that tells me is that Lincoln Riley put all his eggs in the Spencer Rattler basket.
Right.
Hoping that this kid was going to be the next Heisman hopeful. And after 2 seasons, we're starting to see that he is who we thought he was. But at this point, he hasn't really put any work into the other guys, and they're undefeated. We've been undefeated so far. Now he's just praying he can get through the season, not lose a game, still have a shot at the playoffs, and not have to use any of his backup quarterbacks.
Right.
Because seriously, right now, if Spencer Rattler goes down for the season, and I hope for their sake, I'm not talking it into experience, but into
existence.
I'm talking it into existence. Oh my Lord. The misspoke of the day for Mr. Fingers is experience.
Experience.
If he goes down, that's it, man. Kennedy Brooks, longest run this season, 32 yards. He's 54 carries for 318 yards. But when you look at, they've played 5 games so far?
Right.
That means he's only touching the ball about 10 times a game, which is maybe 2.5 times a quarter.
Right.
Barely.
Right.
But his longest run this year is 32 yards. The ESPN matching indicator, because I like to check the odds and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
They've only given Oklahoma a 56.9 chance. That was as of yesterday. 56.9 chance of winning the game. The number 6 team in the country has an under 60% chance of winning against a Texas team that just got into the rankings last week.
Exactly. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Come on now.
What does that tell you? Even the sportscasters are like, I don't know, because Texas has to sneak up on you. I mean, Texas got us, because we made it back to the SEC championship the year we lost to Alabama. The next year we made it back to the SEC championship and lost, and then turned around and played Texas in the Cotton Bowl or something like that. And I was like, oh, Texas, we got this on lock. Right. And Texas embarrassed us.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How many New Year's Six bowls have y'all gone to? Because y'all been, in the last couple years. I mean, like y'all went last year to a New Year's Six bowl, right?
Yeah, we had a New Year's Six last year. We had a New Year's Six the year before, and then we played.
Who'd y'all played the last 2 years?
I'd have to go back and look, man. I look. I keep them, and then if they're big games, I keep them, and if they're not, then I don't. It was a New Year's Six. It was. I hate to be that guy. It wasn't a championship game, so I was like,
yeah.
So let's see what we got here. Where else are we? What is it? Texas has 1,300 yards on the ground and 17 TDs, averaging 5.9 yards per carry. That's all of their running backs. Passing game, not so prolific, 1,021 yards, but they're still getting 13.1 yards per catch with 11 TDs. On the flip side of that coin, OU has almost 1,400 yards and 10 TDs, but their rush game, this is where they fall short. Remember, I told you Texas has 1,300. Oklahoma only has 773, and they're averaging 4.6. And then the other guy that you can't count out of this equation, Cameron Dicker. They call him Dicker the kicker. That
Stick
kid's
to the
got
kicker.
a leg, and if he here's our key phrase. Are you ready for the key phrase?
Are you
If he
ready?
stays healthy, he's gonna be a beast kicker in the NFL. His longest kick so far since he's been at Texas is 57 yards. This year he's been 5 of 7, and I think his longest one this year was just a hair under 50. So let's just say OU Texas comes down to the fourth quarter. Texas has the ball. They've driven the ball inside the 45,
Right.
like somewhere between the 45 and the 40. Right down to the 40-yard line. That means you're giving this kid with this boomer of a leg, no pun intended. See what I did there? You're giving this kid with a cannon of a leg an opportunity, a kid who can regularly hit for 50 yards.
Keep going. I gotta answer my door real quick. Keep going.
Okay. DoorDash. Now, see, you don't want to give this kid an opportunity to kick a 50-yarder in a close game in the fourth quarter. So, as much as I would like to say that Oklahoma will come up victorious in this game, and for all of my folks from Oklahoma that are OU fans, listen, OU has grown on me. I listened to all the press conferences with Lincoln Riley. I remember the Baker Mayfield years. I remember the Kyler Murray years. I listened to all the radio broadcasts and things like that. I listened to 107.7, the franchise here in Oklahoma City. And they love OU, but I'm telling you, this so far has not. This out of the 4 years that I have been following OU closely, this has been the year that your best product is not on the field. There's a lot of confusion about assignments. And Sean, you mentioned earlier about the play calling. Some of the play calling is a little bit suspect. Spencer gets with the announcers that started calling happy feet in the backfield while he's going through his reads. And a lot of times he's like, first read's not open, check down. He's like he's the new captain check down from Alex Smith.
Yeah.
He needs somebody to coach him up a little better than that. So I'm giving the edge. I'm giving only a slight edge to Oklahoma.
Okay.
But I think that I like ESPN think that one could also go either way. Again, that is OU Texas Red River Rivalry, noon kickoff Saturday on ABC. Oh man, I got more notes over here. I thought. Oh yeah, the Texas defense has logged 10 sacks, 7 passes defensive, 3 interceptions this season so far out of 5 games. So the question is, what OU team shows up? Is it going to be the team that went out on the field and beat the snot out of Western Carolina, or is it going to be the OU team that looked like they were chasing their own backsides when they were playing West Virginia?
Right. They barely won that game.
If the team that played West Carolina shows up on Saturday morning, locked, loaded, and ready to play, it's going to be a hell of a game to watch. Yep. Because Texas is hungry, and I think they can smell the blood in the water. And if Texas can knock them in the head a couple of times, Oklahoma could look up and be behind 2 scores. And then after that, it's a wrap. Because I don't think they've had to play from so far behind.
Right.
So far behind the season. Matter of fact, even last week, it took them 3 quarters to wake up. They were going toe-to-toe with Kansas State.
Right.
And then in the third quarter, it's like, oh yeah, we showed up to play football. And then all of a sudden they took like a two touchdown lead.
And so and the thing about Kansas State actually was, you said they had a 2 touchdown lead. They actually had an opportunity to come back, scored a touchdown, kicked an impromptu onside kick, but as the kicker kicked it, and they recovered it, but as the kicker kicked it, he kicked it and then like kind of kept his foot going, and the ball bounced up to his foot, so they actually took it back. Kansas State was at the cusp.
Wait a minute, let me find out that kicker was out there playing hacky sack.
Well, no, it's funny because he kicked it, and then his foot kept going, and the ball bounced down and then bounced back up to him, and he recovered it. So, like, they were like, oh, he got it. But see, Lincoln Riley, man, like you talked about how intelligent he is. He went and he was like, no, there's a rule against that. That's an illegal touch. And they went and reversed it, and then Oklahoma ended up scoring a touchdown.
Yeah, I almost feel like your boy Will last night. Line of the night last night. For those of you that just rock with us on Let's Talk College Football, you really need to check out the entire Let's Talk family of podcasts. There's Let's Talk Football with Sean and Janae, and and they kill it. And then you have the round table, which is Sean and Nicholas. I want to smoke Rosario and Miss Diversity with Delilah Crespo. And then on Wednesdays, you got Washington Football Weekly with my man Sean and Will Kramer and my boy Ab Lowe. And the line of the night was the thing that perplexes me. And see, I don't even play Madden or NCAA anything. I don't own a console. But if I am playing NCAA football on my TV at home, and I can make Oklahoma the baddest team, and playing on beginner level can have Oklahoma whoop anybody.
Right.
Is it that this coaching staff that is getting paid, because you figure Lincoln's salary's got to be at least 5 or more, and then you figure all of his assistants. So the budget for the coaching staff has got to easily be $8 million. How can that coaching staff with an $8 million salary not coach these boys to play better football?
Doesn't make sense.
None at all. None whatsoever. So, like I said, I'm giving the edge to Oklahoma, but I'm only giving the edge to Oklahoma if they keep the lead and keep it close, because if they let Texas pop them in the mouth a couple of times, they could potentially come unravel.
I agree.
And that's for my neighbors here in Oklahoma, I don't want to see that happen for your team. Although the real fans that know football, not the homers that are just like, Oklahoma,
right?
Not the homers, the fans that are that know football.
Yeah,
they'll shake their heads in agreement when they see this. So
they know.
Sooners, I'm giving this one to you, but do not prove me wrong. I'm not putting any money on it because I don't do that. But don't prove me wrong on this one. I'm looking for the Sooners to win a tight one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
That does it for me, bro. I managed to keep it under the time limit. Keep the listen, y'all. Y'all don't understand. If you've watched any other shows or me with any of these other broadcasts, I tend to go off on a tangent and some of my personalities come out. And next thing you know, we spend 20 minutes and then we forgot what we were talking about. While it's all yuck and fun, we want to give you some good sports information. So we managed to hold it down tonight. You got anything for me, boss? You got any games you want to talk about? We got a couple minutes. I know your food just got here. You want to eat because you're sitting there smelling it.
No. Actually, no. I ordered some cheesecake for Kat. She told me her one of our close friends is pregnant, so she's kind of going back and forth to the hospital. Like it's about that time and all that type of stuff. So her daughter is going to be coming over and might be like crashing with us. So I got her cheesecake and all that type of stuff. No, big deal. But
such a wonderful fiance.
Well, no, that's partially for me too. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna eat that. Don't get it twisted.
See, not a real deal because I like, hey, fool, I ain't get all of that for them. I'm gonna get some of that.
I'm gonna definitely get some of that. But yeah, no. So that was perfect. That was perfect, man. You hit it. I definitely want to talk about the Red River Rivalry, and I think I'm glad you brought that up. But
man, I missed the comments. I didn't see it when it popped up, but our boy Will Kramer was like, "Go Georgia Bulldogs." Appreciate you, Will.
Nice.
Even though he probably posted that a long minute ago. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, that team that you said that you thought could beat Bama is playing somebody.
Yeah, they got over that victory over Notre Dame last week, right in front of touchdown Jesus. That was pretty dope. I thought that was pretty nice. But yeah. The Cinderella season will end in the next coming weeks, and if not, hey, we see they played y'all last year in the bowl game. I don't know what the score was.
It didn't end well, but actually they're playing Temple. They're playing Temple tomorrow night. No, I'm sorry. Coastal Carolina's playing tomorrow night. Temple is playing. No, Coastal Carolina's playing tonight. Temple and Cincinnati playing tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So we shall see. I don't think Temple's gonna give them any hard times. But actually, that one has a UGA connect also because Temple quarterback is a transfer, DeJuan Mathis.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we shall see.
That Georgia game was 24-21, Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a close one.
Yeah. Yeah. Cincinnati definitely definitely
Brought it to the
that was their first loss of the year. So, there's no doubt with the conference they're in that they can definitely do it. That was a big win for them last year, and Ritter I think is solid, but I mean, I'd be naive to sit there and think that they can actually. Nobody's been able to touch one or two this year. Now three, we saw what happened to Oregon. So, but yeah, one or two, nobody's been able to touch that. So
yeah.
yeah, I like to see them do good though. It's definitely good to see
Well,
them do good.
that was my whole thing. Like I teased you about it, but my thought process behind this when you and I talked last night was I don't know that they would necessarily like their schedule does not allow the schedule is not set up that they will wind up playing either any number one or number two this season.
Yeah.
But if they pull out a conference win, they're group of five, right?
No, I think they're American.
Is that part of the Power Five?
I don't think that is. Yeah, no, I think they are. No, because they're talked about as one of those other ones that you have to. Yeah, they're Atlantic. They're all Atlantic
All American Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're group of five. But I'm saying with a good enough record in a conference win, and there's not any strong cat. I mean, think about it. Oklahoma's supposed to be. I'm not knocking Oklahoma again, folks. Oklahoma's supposed to be the strongest team in the Big 12 and will more than likely win the Big 12. But they're not. I mean, they're number 6 right now, and unless something drastic happens at 3, 4, 5, or even 1 or 2 for that matter, God forbid, because I would like to see number 2 kind of go all the way this year. Not that I'm biased or anything like that, but I'd like to see it. If something drastic doesn't happen at the top 5 positions, they could find themselves literally on the outside looking in. And God forbid for them, they lose a game late in the season. So now that opens up because, you've got right now, I think you've got in the top 5, you've got SEC, you've got Pac-12.
I believe so.
SEC, Pac-12, and then I don't know who 4 and 5 are right now. I'm going to check the rankings in just a minute. But a couple of good wins here and there, and they could sneak up over the top of Oklahoma in the 5 spot.
Yeah, definitely could happen.
Which would open the door. I mean, how do you say, like, it always used to be, oh, we gonna take the best of the best. Well, they finished in the top 5, and you got 6 playoff spots. Why not give them one?
Anything is possible, right? Especially if they're moving towards more playoff spots. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that it has been Let's Talk SEC Football. Definitely appreciate you guys joining us, and we will definitely be with you. Look out for Anthony's updates, college football updates, where he talks. Tell him what you're talking about, man.
Oh man, so let's see. Today's Thursday, so tomorrow night I'll be dropping a video which basically previews all of what's going on not all of what's going on because there's 130 teams in D1. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to touch on some of the hot games that are going on this weekend, what you can expect, and then on Monday, I believe it is, on Monday evening, that's when I'll drop the review of what happened over the weekend. We moved our HBCU spotlight to be a part of our weekend shorts. You'll see that tomorrow night as well. So make sure you check that out. Sean, the Let's Talk College Football videos, you can find those on under here. Let's Talk College Football on Facebook. You can find them under, I believe it's Sean Spencer. You type in Let's Talk College Football, but it's under your name on YouTube. Is that correct?
Oh, for this specific one, yeah. I'm putting it on Let's Talk.
Well, this specific one will be on your YouTube and the Zagnif One YouTube as well. So you it's Zagnif One Radio Network on YouTube, and on Sean Spencer on YouTube, and then the shorts will be on the Zagnif One Radio Network as well. So definitely, folks, we appreciate you. Thank you for checking us out, Sean. I'm gonna let you take us out, sir.
All right. Hey, we'll see you. I'm Sean Spencer.
I'm Anthony Handy. Thank you guys for checking us out this week on Let's Talk SEC Football. Peace out.